Carabao Cup Final week. Aston Villa versus Manchester City. We'll be joined by Ray from City Fan TV, who will be giving us all the latest news on Manchester City. Hello, welcome to my journey to the media world. Today I'm joined by Ray from City Fan TV. First of all, I want to ask you about the ban. First of all, how do you feel? How do you feel about it, and how do you feel it affects the players' mentality?
Well, 2-year ban. I mean, if it's actually upheld at CAS, the Court of Arbitration for Sport, then 2 years out of the Champions League is going to be terrible for City financially. It's going to be not catastrophic, but we're going to lose probably over £100 million every single season that we're out of the Champions League, and that's going to hurt. It's going to hurt with possibly retaining some players. They might want to move on if you're in your late 20s and you're going to be out of the Champions League for 2 years. You might review your situation. It might stop people coming for the first season at least. You know, someone's going to say, well, I'm not going to play Champions League for 2 years. I might as well go to another club that I can play in the Champions League.
We move on to Sunday then. Obviously, we've both got rich history in the Carabao Cup. Yours obviously a lot more recent than Villa. You're obviously regulars at Wembley, and we've been at Wembley very recently too, so how do you feel that will play into things?
We're regulars in a different sense because we're going there almost every season to win, to compete for trophies and win them. You know, Carabao Cup we've won 4 times in about 6 or 7 years. A couple of FA Cup wins in the last 10 years. Obviously, lots of semi-finals, wins and losses, and a final against Wigan, which we lost in the FA Cup. So we've been to Wembley lots of times. I think it's about 16 or 17 in the last 10 years. You've been to Wembley in the last 2 seasons for the playoff finals, one where you won, one where you didn't. So at least you've got some experience, and I think that does make a difference. You know, we saw Watford last season in the FA Cup final, and they were like rabbits in the headlights. I mean, they were on a bad run of form anyway, but to come up against City last game of the season, we absolutely pummeled them, and they just didn't know what hit them. But your guys, at least some of them will have been there. The guys who've come through the Championship with you, they've been to Wembley. They've got an idea of what it's going to be like, and I think that will help them get over possibly the first few minutes of nerves because they've been there before and have actually won something there. You know, you won that Championship playoff final last season, so that will make a difference. It's just whether the other players can step up to the mark as well and don't feel the pressure of playing at Wembley.
You mentioned earlier about the massive win last night in the Champions League. What do you think that can do in terms of going into Sunday?
Showed that Pep can make changes to the system, to tactics, to the personnel, play them in odd positions and still come up trumps. We had at one point Gabby Jesus, who's a forward, playing sometimes at left wing back. You know, I remember a time in the first half he was heading a ball clear at left back. So he worked really hard and not playing a proper striker. I mean, we had Kevin De Bruyne up there. We had Bernardo Silva playing up top, switching around, moving around, and that's got to confuse the opposition. So we've got a lot of options. The guys have got to feel cock a hoop. You know, the job's not done, but you've got to feel good inside. You've got to have a bit of a buzz. You know, you've gone to the home of European royalty, so to speak. I mean, Real Madrid have won the Champions League 13 times. They've won it, 4 times out of the last 5 or 6 years. And even though the team might not be as good as it was 2 or 3 years ago when Ronaldo was there, still a damn good team. So the guys have got to feel really good about themselves. And it's great that we actually left a few first teamers on the bench, like Sergio Aguero, David Silva. They'll be chomping at the bit to play against Villa on Sunday and get their hands on some more silverware.
Emerick Laporte coming off injured. You mentioned about big name players. Are you expecting a very much full strength side on Sunday?
Team news. Well, obviously Emerick Laporte's out for City. He's got a hamstring problem. He'll be out for 3 or 4 weeks, so he's out. Leroy Sané won't be there at Wembley. He played for the under-23s against Arsenal on Friday night, so that's to help him get back into fitness. And I think them are the only 2 injury issues we have. I think everybody else is fit. Just trying to think who, we're just trying to work out at the moment who Pep's going to pick. You know, is he going to go back to and pick the first team players as many as he can, or will he mix it up a little bit and give opportunities to players who played throughout the competition? I don't think he will do. I don't think he's got too much sentimentality. Garcia played, I think, in 3 games up to the semi-final, then was dropped. I think the same with Foden. Bravo's been our cup keeper. I think he'll still be the cup keeper, but it's very hard to try and figure out who else is going to play. As far as I'm concerned, as long as KDB's there and Fernandinho's there and they're starting the game, and 3 or 4 what I would call first teamers, like say Walker, I think Zinchenko will play. I'm not sure Mendy will. I think Mendy can't play 2 games in short space of time. But for me, as long as KDB's there, I think he's going to do the business for us.
Yeah, well, I think Villa are in, we've got more of a stabilised squad, but again, you've still got them selection headaches, as every team does. If we just briefly mention about, I don't really like talking about it, but the time at Villa Park last time we played out where you absolutely thrashed us 6-1. Personally, the fact that we've played you fairly recently, I feel that could help us a little bit, because if we look at when we played Leicester City and we got in the league and we got thrashed 4-1, we kind of took that as a learning curve and somehow got something very late on against Leicester, so I feel like that could work in our favour a little bit. Looking back at the City game at Villa Park, what are the areas that City will look to get at?
Well, it can be a combination of things. I mean, you win games, sometimes it's based upon fine margins. If City score early, then that's pressure on the other team to open up a little bit, and that gives us chances to score more and more goals. And I think Villa, you didn't shut up shop once you knew you were getting beat, and we were, our players were relaxed, and we just carried on scoring. Not shutting up shop obviously cost you a few goals. I mean, you saw against when City played West Ham just came not to get hammered, forgive the pun, and they ended up losing 2-0. Whereas Villa, when we played you guys, you were a bit too open, and I think what should have happened was, once you realised you weren't good enough, when you were 2 or 3 behind, you just got to shut up shop. You don't want to mess up your goal difference anymore. But you were, I think, far too open. We could have scored 7 or 8 goals that day, and I think you've got to change that if you want to stand a chance at Wembley.
Very finally, can we get a score prediction from you?
Score prediction. I've been terrible this season at getting City scores right. I haven't got a single one right in our score prediction league in 27 games. So I'm a bit cautious about giving out a score. But look, I think you'll score. I think you'll have a chance. You'll have a couple of chances, and I think you will score. I think we will score more. I think we'll win 3-1. I think the one difference between this game and the game against Watford in the FA Cup Final, that was the last game of the season. There was nothing else to play for after that. There was nothing to save yourself for. And once we started scoring against Watford, we absolutely hammered them, and we could have scored 8, 9, 10 goals Wembley that day. I think it'll be different. I really do think it's going to be different against Villa on Sunday, because I don't think we're going to, look to thrash you. If we get the opportunity, I don't think we're going to do it. Because we've got so many games coming up. We've got Sheffield Wednesday in the FA Cup next Wednesday. We've got United on Sunday in the Champions League. We've got Burnley the following week. We've got Real Madrid coming up again, and we've got a ton of games, absolute shed load of games. So I think we might be looking beyond this game, not be arrogantly saying we're going to beat you and let's focus on the others. But what I think is, if we do get ahead, let's say we get a couple of goals ahead, I think we'll shut up shop and just play a negative style, just to take it easy and save our legs for future games. But hopefully it's going to be an exciting game. I hope that VAR doesn't get involved whatsoever. I hope it's a good, clean game. Both sets of fans have a good time. Win, lose or draw, whatever happens, I hope everybody has a good time.
Thank you so much, Ray, for coming on to the channel. Whatever happens. At the end of the day, we've both got to a Carabao Cup Final. Thank you for coming on to the channel. Villa fans, City fans, if you're watching this, let us know your score predictions down below in the comments. Ray's links to YouTube and stuff will be in the link in the description. As always, go and check him out. I'm sure he'll be doing some great build-up as well. And yeah, until next time, goodbye, up the Villa.
Hit the subscribe button and follow my journey to the media world. Click the video choices on screen to see more of my work.